to tame me. You can't catch me on the run, cause I'm gone, yeah. I blaze trails, set fire to what's behind me. No, I'm never looking back, I'm on the run. I could only ever be what I'm made to be. It feels good when I'm living on the edge. Watch me now, roll like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now.
Hi, I'm Wyatt Milan. I'm from Canova, West Virginia. When I'm back home, you'll find me at my local Parmar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more. We are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
Law offices of Mark Plants and Kevin Davis. First line of defense. Big Box Beverages, the world's tastiest portable punch, as seen on Shark Tank. Buzzballs, ready-to-drink cocktails. #1 single-serve premix brand in the U.S. Buzzballs, have a ball. And yes, have a ball on Buzzballs and Beatbox Beverages. And you got to love, you got our Plants and Davis legal team. Your first line of defense. Hopefully you don't need it. My first line of defense. And of course, Parmar Stores as our title sponsor, who does so much for so many community-wise individuals. And, you know, they're about 5 different states now. So Parmar Stores, there's not one near you now. There will be one soon. All that and a lot of air right there for myself. And I'll tell you what, it's Thursday, man. It's a bye week. A lot going on. We have a great day today. I have Tony Altimore. You know, he's a strategist, a consultant. He knows just about everything you would like to know about college football, everything that I would like to know about college football. I said in the preview today, I said, you know, I'm not going to learn one new thing today. I'm not going to learn 2 new things. I'm going to learn at least 3 new things from Tony today, and I think you will as well. And then at the bottom of the hour, we're going to come up with Jeff Davies, Cover 2 data. We didn't get winner parlay 3 last week, but we did get parlay 5. That's right, we did, and we hit it, and it's still good. Cover 2 data, man. Bottom of the hour, 4:30. But with that being said, let me go ahead and bring on the man, and that, of course, is Tony Altimore. TA, what's up, man?
Hey, fight on, Wolfman. How's it going?
Fight on. Yeah, right on, man. Right on. Fight on for sure, man. Hey, that's what our Mountaineers have been doing. And I say our Mountaineers.
Hey, Mountaineers are looking good.
Man, there's no doubt about it. What's your take on something? I'm interested by that. You know, seeing them.
I kept saying that they were going to be decent this year, and nobody listened to me. And they keep winning. And not only that, but I mean, you guys played Penn State, which is awesome. You know, if you had done what, you know, some of these other schools did, and you played Albany or Long Island or, you know, Incarnate Word or, you know, whoever, you'd be undefeated. I mean, I like that you took the challenge and played Penn State, and it probably set you up well for the season. But, you know, your team is good, a lot better than people think. You're going to keep winning some games.
They're fighters, man, and they got that mentality back, Tony. That it's been a while. You know what I mean? It's been a while, but it's so nice to see it. It's wonderful to see it. And, you know, here's the other thing. A lot of people don't realize this, and I just saw this the other day. You know, West Virginia is one of 9 schools, that have 3 wins over Power 5.
I believe
You
it.
know that.
Yeah.
Hey, it's got to go somewhere in that, and the respect and understanding that. So again, when you look at it that perspective, it really turns things around a lot, and it gives you an idea. And speaking of which, I was on the radio with ESPN radio up there in Pittsburgh today, and
Uh-huh.
they do Penn State, the show, the Penn State, Pitt, and West Virginia, and for the first time, all three have buys this week. Now, I had Pat Biondo on yesterday from Oregon, and Oregon's on a bye. Is USC at a bye this week?
No, USC has a weird schedule. Well, we'll see how it changes, but because we have an annual rivalry with Notre Dame, and so does Stanford. So one of us, whichever game is in California, is at the end of November, and whichever game is in South Bend is in the middle of October. So what the Pac-12 does is they take that game of Notre Dame and USC and Stanford, and they move it from the middle of October, where it should be, into week 2, which then creates a hole. But USC then had a weird shift in schedules because we took a week 0 game. So we ended up with a bye in week 3. We've already had ours.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? That's right. But you know what? That's number 1. I did not know. All right. That's the first thing I learned from you today. Hey, Mike Rollins, he was AT. Have you had a chance to look at the Big Ten future football schedules?
Yes. As a fan, it's going to be amazing. As if you think that they're going to win every game on there, you may have a little reality check coming. We'll see. USC, they're going to, I'm going to have to go to that one. They're going to be at Michigan in the Big House. So as a Michigan native, I'm going to have to be there.
Next year?
They got some great games, but the other problem with USC next year is, so we like to have aggressive non-conference scheduling. We have our annual rivalry with Notre Dame. So our non-conference slate adds in addition to this really tough Big Ten schedule, add in LSU and Notre Dame.
That's gonna bite.
There's
no doubt about it. And right now, and I don't think Caleb Williams will be back.
No, probably not. I mean, I wouldn't think so. If he wants to come back, I'd love to have him. But
all right, so let's go back.
You'd have to be crazy to do that.
I had a guy on last week, AP Stedham from the SEC. He's an Alabama beat journalist down there, and he votes for everything. Heisman, Maxwell.
Oh, nice.
And I said to him, what's the odds of Caleb Williams going ahead and returning? Because the only Archie Griffin has won 2 of them. And, what's the odds of Caleb Williams doing it? And he didn't want to answer me. And I'm looking at it like, okay, well, the odds are if they go to the college football playoffs, he's in. It's going to be a shoe. I mean, right on. I mean, am I right or am I wrong there, T?
I have no idea. It's such a weird thing with voting. I'll tell you personally, I think that because of the way the sort of the Heisman fraternity is structured and everything that goes into winning that award, and this is an unpopular personal opinion. I actually, and I've said this for a long time, so it's not new with Caleb, but I actually think it should be a once in a lifetime thing. That if you win it, maybe you present the next one, or something like that. Like, I don't know that he would get it, because the other thing is, the way that people kind of engineer these things, they like to spread it out anyway. So I would personally be surprised if we win all the rest of our games, which seems like a tall order given that we've got Notre Dame, Oregon, Washington, Utah, and UCLA left in the schedule. Maybe. But at the same time, I don't shed any tears for the fact that I think that's a really, really special award that I kind of like when it's spread around. But that's just me.
How do you feel about it always being a quarterback? Because I don't know, the last time a receiver won could have been Desmond Howard.
Yeah, it's been a little too quarterbacky, I think. But but then again, nowadays in the game, we don't have those overpowering running backs like we used to very often, because the game does air it out so much more. And credit to Coach Leach, who helped change the game. But we don't really have those really overpowering running backs. I mean, I'll tell you though, if Travis Hunter was playing for Florida State right now, you could have somebody like that, somebody like a Woodson style that can play on both sides of the ball, or stuff like that. So,
do you think that puts him though, even at Colorado, even though he's missed a game or two, 2 games now actually? But do you think that he could get back and be that guy in the race?
No, they're not good enough. The team isn't. You need to either be like just so exceptional on your own, or else part of a great championship team. I mean that's not ripping on what they're doing, because they're doing amazing stuff, right?
And I got you.
He's not in that position, I don't think. And he's also still young, but he's a phenomenal.
Yes, he is. What's your take on the USC Colorado game? Because I'm going to tell you what, screwed up my parlay 3. All right, I had winners, and all of a sudden they go ahead and they start clicking, man. And
and then the defense just fell apart. A lot of vigorous debate in the USC fan community. When you look at, so here's the thing, people don't remember what USC was like 2 years ago and 3 years ago. They were bad. I mean, bad. They got run over by Cal Berkeley. They got run over by Brigham Young. I mean, this was not a good team. So what they did from 2 years ago to last year was a phenomenal improvement on defense. And what they've done from last year to this year is also an improvement on defense. But I think the fans really don't feel like it's enough of an improvement. And there are still missed tackles. They're giving up big plays. They're letting teams that they've put away come back. And that's really a problem. And again, a lot of these fans are sort of used to, defense when you had Pete Carroll and, Edo, and those guys where the teams literally weren't scoring. And they just, again, Colorado's a better team than people think. That game was at 9:00 in the morning for them. It was in, at 5,000 feet in the air elevation. The defense was tired, but there's no excuses. And, folks, one of my co-hosts is the most vigorous defender of USC's defense on our post-game show. And he's always got, some advanced stats metric where they're only 40th in the country. They're not that bad. They are that bad because it's just not working yet. And it's going to need to work before they start to go face Wisconsin and Michigan and Penn State and LSU.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. There's no doubt. Hey, Mike Rounds wants to know, Michigan, Ohio State, I have not seen the future.
No, they have not released dates yet. I believe those are listed in alphabetical.
Okay. Well,
I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe they're
second thing I didn't know. All right, here you go. Kelly McCourt saw a prediction on Facebook where they said WVU record will be 9-3. The only 2 teams that will beat WVU is UCF and Oklahoma. What is your thoughts on that? Woo, I don't know. That's a big question right there. What do you think? UCF, Oklahoma. You think WVU can go 5-2 in the next 7? Yeah.
Me? I think you can beat UCF. I don't know if you will, but you can.
What about Oklahoma? What do you think?
They're pretty good, but is that at home or is that away?
Home.
Weird things happen in Morgantown.
Yeah, there you go. All right, very good.
I'm not betting against the Mountaineers in Morgantown unless unless I don't know, unless the Kansas City Chiefs are coming.
Yeah, there you go, man. Well, listen, let's go ahead now. I showed you what we were doing earlier today. I showed you the slides of yours, but I just saw you posted this one up, so I went ahead and put this up here and see what you got to say about this. Big money donors. What's going on here?
So this is I wanted to take a look at how much school donors are putting into the schools. This looks like an average per school, and then it kind of breaks it up by conference. So this is from a resource standpoint. Really. What kind of money are these schools bringing in, on average? Because remember, we talk about athletics, they bring in, about $100 million a year at most of the schools, 150 at some of the bigger ones, 70 at some of the smaller ones. And of that, donors are usually like, 10 to 50 million, depending on the school. So how much is the school bringing in overall donations? Sort of what are the donor piece of the money? Because we talk a lot about research, and some Big 12 fans get mad when we do that, but I think it's a fair thing. But looking just at donations, and you see kind of a wild swing here. with the Ivy Leagues at averaging $600 million a year in donations. Big Ten's at 416, ACC 338. Big 12 numbers have gone up a lot, adding those 4 new schools, the four new schools, the 4 PAC schools. So, you guys are going to continue to see Big 12 academic metrics just got a turbo boost. So to the fans who like to get really mad about saying academics don't matter, you can change your tune, because now you got a bunch of schools joining WVU that'll help out.
No, that's so true. And you think of BYU, there's a lot of money there at BYU, a lot of money in Houston. I think there's.
Yeah, but in Arizona, in Colorado, I mean, the med school at Colorado alone is a massive endeavor and an outstanding program. Arizona State, again, big money. Arizona, big money. Utah, phenomenal research, donations, a lot of academics. They're kind of like WVU, and they have a really high admissions rate, but they do really great stuff.
Tony, let me ask you this: what can the Arizona schools attribute to California students coming over? Do you find a lot of that?
It is a lot. It's not as much as Oregon.
Okay.
So Oregon is, I think, 13% of their student body. Sorry, not 30. 30% of their student body. Arizona and Arizona State are like 13 to 15.
So it is a significant number, though.
It's a big number, and it's a high paying number because those are out of state tuition. So, I mean, when we looked at it, we said, if you took a look at what the difference is between the worst Pac-12 conspiracy theory number that they had and the amount of money they get in the Big 12, it was something, I don't remember the exact, it's something like 193 California students of profit or something. So, you look at that and you think from an institutional standpoint, it didn't make a lot of sense because they rely on those kids so much so that Arizona State actually opened a campus in downtown LA. You can see it from the towers.
You know what? You told me that. That's right. I did forget about that. That's impressive, though. All right, got it. Let's move on to the next. Okay.
This is kind of funny. There's lots of debate about what to do with Washington State and Oregon State. So I like to do this. I take the AP total points. So we include all the others receiving votes. We give everybody credit for it. And we say, okay, how do the new conferences rank? And of course, Oregon State and Washington State are both having great years this year. And it just made me laugh that, they have 2.75. And by the way, WVU is going to be ranked soon as you guys keep winning. So get in there and boost up that little red bar, because those two have 2.75 times, almost 3 times as many points as all 16 of the future Big 12 schools together. So they need you guys to keep winning and get in that poll because you belong.
Well, the other thing too, when you look at this with WVU's schedule, going back to the 9-3, they don't play Kansas. They don't play Kansas State. No, I know. I said they don't play Kansas. Well, with Jalen Daniels, Kansas is a threat, and they beat WVU last year.
Yeah.
K-State, we know, is a threat, right?
That's because you played Kansas before they sort of resettled into their 6-6.
Yeah, and the other the team they don't play is Texas. I mean, so West Virginia does have a good, now that they got past Penn State, they do have an opportunity to make some waves with only teams like UCF, Oklahoma that are really, really standing out. BYU is a little bit of a surprise to me right now that they've won.
They also haven't played.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean, they beat Arkansas. Like, that's respectable, but they haven't I'll be curious what happens when they play some.
Especially when they have to come to Morgantown, too. That's true. So, all right. So we'll go here.
They're going to see a lot of new things in Morgantown when they show up.
I'm not even sure what that means. Okay.
It's going to be a new experience for
for them. Fans. Yeah. No doubt about it. Good people, man. I'll tell you what.
They're going to be like, what's this you're handing me in a jar? Yeah. Just drink it. It's holy water. It's fine. It's holy water.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. All right. Percent of D1 undergrads.
I'm just kidding to my BYU friend. My actual real life BYU friends would
laugh. No, I think if you got a sense of humor, you would laugh at it. We all know it's not going to go down, so it's cool. But again, the percent of D1 undergrads who are varsity, this is very interesting to me.
Yeah, so this is for project I'm working on with somebody right now. We're taking a look at. I thought this was real interesting. This is, at each of the different levels for Division I, what percentage of the school are athletes? And it obviously at huge schools like, I don't know, Arizona State, Ohio State, whatever. That's a really small number because they're massive schools. But their school, their Division I schools were 40-some% of the students. There's one where it's like 40. I think it might be Presbyterian. It's like 45. So that means like, if you're sitting next to somebody in class, odds are, if you're not, they are a varsity athlete on one of the teams. So when we think about all of the issues going on with college athletics and how does that affect things, you can make an argument that at some, UCLA, it may not affect your daily life that much, but like at a lot of these schools, this affects a quarter, a third, half of their kids. Of the D3 schools, there are 180 D3 schools where more than 25% of the student body are on a varsity team.
See, now that's the really interesting thing to me, that a lot of these D3, and that's number 3 that I didn't know about. So I've already passed the limit. Number 3, D3 for number 3. They really do, because when I was the head coach at a junior college, they really counted on the football team to bring in, because they also get the money from the government and
yeah. Well, and the other thing too is one of the things that they do is that when they're recruiting kids, right? Like they might want you to come to their school and be an engineering major. And you're high school, you're a really pretty good high school swimmer, or a high school track or, whatever. They'll recruit you. They want you to come there as a student, but as a D3 person, you can be a recruited athlete, and it's really cool. And they get you to come to their school instead of Purdue, where you'd never play, or something like that.
No,
So it lets them win the battle for students. And so and by the way, the FCS and the D1 no football schools do that too. And again, you take a look at the FBS schools. Again, most of them are really, other than there's a couple really small schools. There's and even when we say small, we're talking like 10,000 total students, which is still pretty big.
Already. That was cool. I'll tell you, I thought that was very, very interesting. And here, some more, but I don't know if I.
D3 right here. So, one of the other things we think about, like how much it costs to run football programs, particularly at the D1 level. But I think it's really interesting at the D3 level, because again, this is, they like to do this because it gives them student life, it gives them something going on, but it also pays for itself. So you take a look at how much because those football players are paying to be there. They have scholarships to be there. This actually adjusts for scholarships and financial aid. This is based on total net price. So what students are actually paying. And you see here, the football programs more than pay for themselves. The football program, the cost of the program is the red line, and the money that the football players are paying to be there is the green line above it. And you see the players are paying to be there, and it's a very profitable enterprise for the school. It not only does it get them students, but it pays for itself. So, it's a smart recruiting thing for actually recruiting regular students.
And it was Portnoy of Barstool Sports, so I think it's pretty funny most of the time, and does good things for people. But he said, like, hey, why would anybody want to play Division III sports? And I was really taken aback by that. And I thought, why? Because they want to play the games. I'm not talking about just football. I'm talking about all sports.
Any of them. They want to play. They love doing it.
They want to compete. And obviously, there's money involved in this as well. So, it does make a lot of sense, and it makes a lot of sense for colleges. And in fact, it looks to me like D3 schools, from what you have here, is they count on this as part of their bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. There are more schools are adding football teams, because the other thing is too, and this is gonna sound really bad here, and I hope they don't cancel me for this, but one of the other things, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day too. A lot of these D3 schools, a lot of them are very heavily women. And so this is a good way for them to recruit men to come to the school.
Oh, okay.
So not all D3 school, right? But some of them. So it is really interesting. It sounds silly, but that's a thing that matters for some of them, because they're trying to get more diversity. The other thing is, sometimes if they can recruit, they might have more success recruiting minority football players than they are recruiting minority students, and it helps bring diversity to their campus. So it's all these things are just wins. And you see there, the biggest argument against football is cost, and
it doesn't matter.
They pay for itself.
Exactly.
So it works.
Okay, let's go ahead and jump into this and into your risk here. What's going on with this chart? I'm trying to figure it out. And
so we've talked a little bit about the demographic cliff coming. That the kids who weren't born in the recession, therefore, aren't going to school in 2 years because they weren't born. So colleges are going to have to make huge cuts. And I'll tell you guys, we've talked a little bit about the cuts that President Gee has made at WVU. And I don't know, people, I would say to WVU fans, if you look at the cuts and you don't like what they cut, then, talk to the school and be mad, but know that everybody is going to have to start cutting sports. Or not sports, but everything related to the school, possibly even sports. A lot of sports budgets may have to be cut because a lot of these schools are subsidizing sports, and they're subsidizing it heavily. So this is taking a look at two things to kind of think about, do you have a real risk of this demographic cliff? So this is looking at, how badly do kids want to go to your school? And also, how much do you depend on their tuition? And the thinking on that is that if you really don't depend on tuition for your money, your budget, you'll probably be okay. And if everybody's clamoring to, I'm talking with my hands, I just hit my microphone. If everybody's clamoring to go to your school, then you're not gonna have trouble filling spots. So you think about a school like Princeton, which is the highest up there, right? Princeton has so much money and so much money from different sources. They don't really depend on tuition. In fact, they probably don't even need to charge tuition, but they do. And then you take a look at everybody wants to go there. So you know what? Princeton's going to be fine no matter what. Let's look at a school like Liberty. And Liberty is the one on the bottom left corner there. Liberty very heavily depends on tuition. 73% or something of their core budget comes from tuition. And Liberty is no offense, because I have friends who went to Liberty, but they have a 99% admissions rate or something. So they're not turning people away.
Hey, you're not going to offend WVU people by that.
Yeah. So but that's the issue. So the thing is they may, as fewer kids are going to college, they may face the crunch, because what'll happen is, and I'm just going to make this up as an example, right? Like if Princeton needs more students, they're going to take kids that are maybe going to Michigan. And normally, and if Michigan needs more students because there's fewer kids around, they may take kids who are going to go to Michigan State. And if Michigan State needs kids, they're going to take kids who might have gone to Bowling Green. And if Bowling Green needs kids, they're going to take kids who might have gone. And it just sort of filters down until you get to the bottom of this, and all of a sudden, these are schools that need the tuition money, and they can't attract students. So there's a couple of schools there that just kind of need to be on the financial watch, and I think are going to face the similar cuts to what President Gee's having to do at WVU. And so it's smart that WVU is doing that already.
Let me say this. So it's instead of a buyer's market for homes, this is a student's market, because all the schools are going to have to take what they don't usually take. And you got a better chance to get in right now in the next couple of years. Is that a correct idea of the way I'm thinking?
Probably. Now some of these schools may also think about, because some of the MAC schools actually, like a lot of the MAC schools are smaller than they used to be. Some of them are 20 and 30 and 40% smaller than they were like when I was in college. And in some cases, that's because they're boosting their admissions levels. They're saying, we want to only have, a certain caliber of student, and so we're going to have fewer of them. So yes, schools are going to have to figure, do we want to have fewer students, or do we want to have the same students and money coming in from those students and keep our admissions?
Let me ask you this, Tony. Okay, so West Virginia is fairly self-sustaining, right? For their donations, their ticket sales, and their TV money, rights, and all that.
For athletics, yeah, you're very self-sustaining. You guys do charge your students some kind of mandatory student fee.
Games,
but you're not. You guys are not doing Houston, for example, is chipping in an annual subsidy from the school of something like 30 or 40 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, here you got this one. This one has the subsidies on it. Yeah, so if you some of these schools have huge subsidies of their athletic department, 20, 30, and the question is, if push comes to shove, and big budgets are being cut, what's going to have to be cut from athletics? I mean, an example, I don't know if you guys saw this the other day from Oregon State, but Oregon State is projecting that something like 45, and I thought it was higher than that, but the data that's published is a couple years old. But Oregon State's looking at 40% of their athletic budget, 50% of their athletic budget is formerly conference money.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to be cut. And so what are they going to do to fill a $30 million hole? Are they, the thing is quite honestly, if you're Stanford or Berkeley, you can fill a $30 million hole. It might hurt. You might not like it, but you can do it. Can Oregon State do that? Probably not. And so there's real questions there.
Wow. Okay, so let's just say this, and I don't want to drag this out to you, but West Virginia is self-sustaining for the most part. They have to pay for each student's scholarship. I mean, they got to pay for the schooling, so the school gets that money. And there's really, except for during COVID, they had to take a loan out from the university. Okay, so and now they're paying that back now. So is that going to hurt them right now with this whole $45 million free fall?
For West Virginia? No, I think you guys would be fine. Because remember, here's the other thing. So, and I don't know if you've had to work with cost accounting, but there's a thing that I think is like a BS charge, which is that, so for example, your students give West Virginia about $8 million a year, right? But then I'd have to look up the exact number. But West Virginia athletics pays the University of West Virginia something like, I'm going to make up the number because I don't have it right in front of me, but probably it's about like $20 million or $15 million. And they're taking it out of the athletic budget and giving it to the school.
Okay.
Now, the truth is, if they want to get one more football player, one more tennis player, whatever, how much more money does it cost for that kid to sit in a class, right? Like one extra chair,
right?
It doesn't cost more money for that kid to go to the school. And if you take a look at even what does it cost for that, what does it cost them to make one more sandwich in the cafeteria? Nothing, right? They throw away food. So truly the marginal cost of adding athletes is very small. It's almost nothing, but you're billing it at a full price. You're billing yourself for a full price. And this was explained. It was actually a great explanation to me when I worked in the athletic department at USC as an undergrad. And one of the guys said, fundraising guy said, I can raise money for a football player. I can fundraise for that football player's scholarship a whole lot easier than we can fundraise for the geography major scholarship. So what we do is we send a football player in and we pay full price for him, and then they can give the geography kid a scholarship with the money that we've fundraised.
And hey, how much is it to go to USC, by the way?
Oh, now it's like $80,000 or something
per year,
like that. Yeah, it's insane. USC is a private.
No, I know it's a private school, but $80,000. What's UCLA?
They're public. I'd have to. I mean, I could take a look. Somebody in the comments is gonna be really mad at me. They're like, no, it's 73. I don't know the exact number. UCLA is probably like, I don't know, 25, 30 in state, maybe like 60 out of state or something like that. The California schools are cheaper. In fact, I'll tell you one funny laugh. Back in the 50s, Cal Berkeley was very opposed to giving athletic scholarships. They thought that was like a shady thing that shouldn't happen. That schools should not be providing athletes with scholarships. And USC's response was, yeah, because your dumb school is free. It was free to go to Cal Berkeley and to go to UCLA. So they were like, we shouldn't be giving scholarships. That's beneath us. And we were like, yeah, because you're free. Convenient theory for you, Berkeley.
Yeah. All right, I got you here. Okay, last one here with this. You want to explain this all sports success?
Yeah, so there's been lots of yapping about the ACC. I don't know if it has merit or not. I defer to whether anything happens. We've been hearing it for a while. So I just wanted to lay out, sort of looking at football success and all sports success. How does the ACC compare to the SEC and the Big Ten? And I'll tell you something in all honesty, and this includes the Big 12 in this too. But when we think about the power conference sort of realignments. One of the issues is when we think about academics matter a lot. They matter a lot. But pretty much all the schools at that level are good enough to check that box. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, nobody's going to look at Virginia Tech and be like, you are not a good school, because Virginia Tech's a great school. You know, look at WU is a state flagship school. So, I mean, all the schools at the Power 5 level sort of check that box. So I said, let's look at, you know, really what are we looking at in terms of athletics ads for some of these conferences, and how do they compare? So going up and down is football. The higher you up, the better your football team is. The current week 5 SP plus, and then going from the left to right, how good are the rest of your athletic programs? So take a look at Stanford. Poor Stanford. They're in the bottom right. I mean, it's the number 1 athletic program in the country. They just have a terrible football.
Terrible.
Terrible. You know, you look at poor BC on the left. You know, BC has had a lot of struggles. They just suspended their entire swimming team over hazing. And their football team is really bad. But, you know, of course, Texas, number 2 athletic department in the country, and a great football team. So, you know, that's kind of how it looks there. But you really see, you know, check out Notre Dame, Florida State, Duke, and North Carolina right there in the heart of all those schools.
Yes.
And you know, not too far out, then you kind of got a next wave of Miami, Clemson, Syracuse, Louisville, North Carolina State, and Cal. You know, and you kind of work your way out from there. And of course, Virginia and Stanford, they're literally 2 peas in a pod, bottom down there right now.
Yeah. Well,
but I just thought it was interesting when we think about realignment, you know, how would these schools fit? You know, of course they fit great, right? Because I'm going to get the DMs. So going to be like, wow, insightful observation. Great schools with great athletic departments fit in well. You know, but this just kind of shows you, like, you know, they do really sort of fit in well. And they would add a lot to the department.
No, I see where you're going with this, and you know, obviously you have some good stuff. There's some good theories. I'd say I don't know how you keep coming up with all this stuff, but it's pretty impressive, man. You know, and how you bring. I don't even know where to begin that research. Let's see about what they have to say to us.
I have a great database, and dorky enough, the thing that is the most valuable to me is this, like, these 5 columns I have that let me code everything together.
Oh, is that what it is? You coded it? All right.
Yeah, so it's easy for me to bring it. Like the other day, I put up one. It was kind of a dumb thing. I don't think we talked. Did we talk about the military spending one? It was kind of stupid, but it was just random. I looked at how much military spending in each conference's footprint.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of pointless. But I was like, I just saw this thing, and I was like, oh, I wonder what this will be. And so it took me like 3 minutes.
So how did it come out?
The ACC is America's conference.
Okay.
America's conference, if you want to put it that way. But, you know, one of my friends was like, oh, that was so interesting. He's like, and then I thought about it. And I thought, wait a minute. The state of Virginia, where the Pentagon and everything is, the state of North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Texas, of course they have the highest. I laughed. I was like, yes, it's not really right.
Oh, my gosh. Well, listen, I'm trying to look here. I don't see any questions here. I see Joey Foster's come out.
Oh, we got Joey. Go Mountaineers,
he's
Joey.
going to cause trouble, I think, as he normally does.
Hey, I would expect no less. I'd be disappointed.
Here he goes. When I say cause trouble, don't ask Tony hard questions. I'll have to resort to that USC. I can't even pronounce what he just wrote. So, all right, say
education. Actually, I will tell you one thing you'll laugh at. Central Florida fans get really angry when you don't call them UCF.
What do you call it?
And they say that it's derogatory to call them by their full school name because what do they call it? A directional school is derogatory. And those of us from Southern California don't feel the same. Folks from Central Florida, you can use your name. It's not derogatory. It's your name.
Yeah, I would say if USC is okay with it, since you guys did set the bar standard, but you know.
Yeah, we're okay with it, so you can be too, UCF.
All right, man. Well, listen,
I love my US. I have some. UCF is one of those schools where the people that I know from there are wonderful, but like the Twitter people are just lunatics.
They're lunatics. You know what? I can't wait until they come. West Virginia goes down there.
Would you go down? Okay, so you can go to Disney World then. It's a great. Actually, that's a cool trip. You should go.
You know what? I went to Disney World and I stood in line for hours and hours. I'm telling you right now, I'm not going back to Disney World.
Exactly. Makes
I'm
sense.
not going back because I could only go only do like 3 rides a day. All right. There's no fun to that. It's no fun to wait hours. Regardless, let's save it for the kids. Hey, anything else for the cause, brother?
No, go Mountaineers. I got you. I'm cheering for you guys.
All right, man. And fight on, baby.
Fight on. We'll see you soon.
All right, team. Take care, man.
Take it easy.
You got it. Well, I'll tell you what, he is special, man. Special. Every time he comes on, I learn something new. And I'm going to go ahead and put out this right here. Who wants to come on? I got Jeff Davies. He had an incident at home. I'm not sure what's going on. He's texting me here and say, I'm up at my house. Go ahead. I'm going to say, go ahead, man. Come on. Come on. There you go. And it's good. It is good, but here you go. So I got that right here. And Tony was pretty awesome. I pasted it. Anybody want to jump on? Joey, you want to come on? Tell me. I want to hear you, Joey. I haven't heard you in a while. I want to hear what you got to say about these 4-1 Mountaineers. Always send me text messages of great exasperation of Mountaineers and you're back and you think the Mountaineers are back. Joey, go ahead and jump on if you want to. If not, I could go into the Big 12 stats here. But anybody else that wants to jump on, please feel free to. Jeff Davies right now is he is in a bind, and life has to go on, and so does the WolfMan's call. So anyone right there I put out there, man, and you want to jump on, Joey, you're probably in your what do you call it? Your underclothes, making all the slack here. What do you got here? What do you got here? We got 7th degree. These 4-1 Mountaineers are awesome. Not sure who you're talking about, but that's all right. That's right. Give me a minute. He said he's jumping on the computer. All right. Joey's coming on. Joey Foster. It's Jeff Davies. I gotta go ahead and read what he's saying here. Let's see. Well, I can't say out loud what he's talking about. Oh, there we go. Okay. You know what? That's pretty good. I like this Jeff Davies cover 2 data, man. Hey, how about this? Let me show this to you right here, because this is pretty good. And let me get it up here. And that's not the one I'm looking at here. Let me see. I need to get this back. Oh, I pulled up the wrong thing here. All right. Hang on a second. Yep, there we go. All right, so let's take a look. I thought it was important that we take a look at these stats we got here, because when you look at their offense, right? Offense, and what's the total offense so far with the bye week that's here, and where does West Virginia stand? And so when you go ahead and you look at offense here, you look at the games, and everybody has 5 games except for, I think, Oklahoma State and Kansas State. They only have 4 games, so they already had their bye. And you look at the TDs and the numbers there. This is something to look at. You need to know what your opponents are doing and where you're standing at, especially here. So when you look at West Virginia, number 11 and 17 touchdowns so far through 5 games. Obviously, that's not huge, but breaking that down, man. West Virginia 4-1 is pretty surprising. Well, here we go. What's up, Joey?
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, I don't know if you'd be in your PJs or what, man. I just said, what's going on?
No, I've just been working all day, but I'm really excited about this team. Number one, well, nobody expected this, right? I mean, absolutely none of us expected them to be 4-1 right now. I had us losing to Texas Tech. I actually did have us beating TCU. I think TCU's down, but I had us losing to Texas Tech, and we pulled that out. and things. And I'm looking at this schedule and I'm thinking, we could be 8-1 going into the Oklahoma game, but at the same time, we could easily lose another game between now and Oklahoma, to UCF or even Oklahoma State. I don't see us losing to Houston. To the Fighting Dana Holgersons, but that's probably because I think most people know how I feel about Dana Holgerson. So.
Yeah, you're not real good about Dana. All right, you haven't been real sound about him.
Nah.
You haven't been real friendly. You haven't been very Mountaineer-ish towards him.
The thing about it is, I do support Dana. I think he's a great offensive coordinator, probably one of the best offensive coordinators in the nation. Probably be between him and Lincoln Riley, but at the same time, I just don't feel like he's that much of a head coach. He has a lot of trouble recruiting and things. So I think that, I think he's going to struggle at Houston really bad because, it's not West Virginia, number one. It wasn't a Power 5 school. Now it is. So he went down there knowing the challenges of recruiting and knowing that was already his challenge was recruiting. And now he went to a school where he had to recruit even harder than he did at West Virginia because it wasn't a Power 5 school. So, he's paying the price for that.
He's in Texas.
Well, he's in Texas, I know, but he's still competing against Texas, Texas Tech, Texas Christian, and Texas A&M. I mean, there's a lot of schools in Texas he's got to fight for, and to get those recruits. So I think that I wish Dana well. I really do. Hey, listen, I don't have nothing against Dana. I hope he has great success at Houston, but so far he hasn't shown much at Houston. They fired coaches for a lot less. As a matter of fact, Chairman, what's his name, Petty or whatever his name is, came out and said we fire coaches for going 8-4 at Houston. Well, they haven't fired Dana yet.
No, but that's because he's got a pretty big booster right there. And I'd say this too, that now you can't say 8-4 about the Big 12 anymore. That was for when they were in the AAC, and that was different. Right. Although he wasn't going 8-4 then either for the first 2 years. So you look at that, that's fine. But Joey, take a look here. West Virginia is 6th in rushing. Now you're saying their offense is the powerhouse in this, but they're 6th in the Big 12, averaging 192 yards per game. You look at UCF, 255, Cincy, 220, Kansas State is 190. TCU, before playing WVU, was 208. Now they're 194. That's a significant drop. What the Mountaineers did for them. When I look at that TCU game, man, they opened up the door for WVU, and I think that this WVU team is a very opportunistic team. What do you think about that?
I think so too. I watch our ground game. Number one, our defense. Our defense is pretty dominating, and none of us expected that. We've got pretty much a new defense this year. Anybody that expected our defense to be as good as they are is lying. Anybody that says I knew West Virginia's defense was going to be as good, they're just lying. Nobody figured this.
Okay, Joey, let me stop you right there, because I'm really interested in this, and I'm glad you came on. Okay, so when you're saying this defense, and I'm looking, and I see 322 yards against Penn State. Okay, Penn State, you say that's just a game against a good team and all that, but the first half they gave up 300 yards. And then
sure.
No, yeah, but what team is it?
Well, right. I look at that TCU game. We gave up some yardage in the first half, but what did we do in the second half? We held them to 1 yard in the third quarter for TCU, and TCU is a powerful offense. I don't care what anybody says. They've got some talent on that offense, and Sonny Dykes.
Yes. No, you're right. And then you got Chandler Morris, right? Who can run just as well as he can throw the ball. And they had some nice receivers in there, and they had their own Jared Wiley tight end. That's a Cole Taylor's tight end. So what the defense did was pretty remarkable. They went ahead. Not only did they shut them down in the third quarter, but TCU went away from the run too, which I think was a big mistake for them, because they actually came into the game with 40 more repetitions in the run than the pass. That was their MO, was running the ball. Like I said, 208 yards per rush. But again, West Virginia taking that opportunity, they were down 21 in the first half, and then big goose egg in the second. Special teams making a difference. How much have you seen special teams, Joey, go ahead and make a big difference for this West Virginia? When's the last time? I've never seen a Neil Brown era. Okay, special team making a difference, winning games, even though he's always talked about them.
Yeah, we've got some big guys up there, and they're doing a great job. He talked about it during the pick game. He said, we should have had a couple of blocks. We was in there. We had chances for blocks, and we didn't make them. And he got that same chance against TCU, and we made those blocks. And it reminded me a lot of Beamer ball, didn't it? I mean, it's just like Beamer ball, just great on special teams. Now, I'm not going to say much about our punt returns and kickoff returns and even our coverage at times, but special teams out there on the field, when they've got to kick an extra point or they got to kick a field goal, we've got some pretty potent special teams, and I'm excited about that. This team, if you think about it, this team doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. I mean, our offense is a little weak, yes, but our offensive line is so good and our running backs are so good, and then you've got Garrett Green who can run the ball, that our offense can move the ball and control the clock. And then our defense just has to make a stop or two a few times a game, and we can win games. We have a team that actually is a team, right? They're working together as a team. We don't have any really standout players that you can point at and say, this guy right here, without him, we'd lose this game. We don't have any of those. We might have a couple of them on defense. I think of Sean Martin. Sean Martin's excellent. I mean,
we got Lee Koba. Hey,
Lee Koba. Yeah.
Beanie Bishop has 5 PBUs past breakups, man.
He's one of my favorite. Beanie Bishop's one of my favorite on.
He's challenging on that corner. But I'll tell you what, he's challenging those receivers.
He reminds me of and some people would probably hate me for saying this. He reminds me a lot of a Chris Henry.
Chris Henry. All right. Chris Henry. Okay.
Well, I think so. I think he does. And how about Aaron Beasley? I mean,
Well, Bees was so instinctual.
Yeah.
He's not a Beasley, but he's faster than Bees was.
Yeah.
He's got that going for him.
I'm excited about our defense. I'm excited about our team, period. I'm excited about our team.
All right, hang on here. Let me talk now. All right, because you got a lot of information going in your head. I'm looking at this. Check this out, passing. All right, Garrett Green is 12th right now, 12th in the Big 12 in passing. Okay, he was 10 of 21, 50%, no touchdowns. The one thing he does have is he has, or does not have, probably would be a better terminology, is any interceptions. He has 0 turnovers. And he, as you said, he can run the ball. Can you continue to win this way? How is the defense that's right now going through some attrition? When you look at, we don't know what Aubrey Burks is going to be. He's going to be good for Thursday. We don't know. Obviously, Trey Layton is out. Ben Cutter, the will that's going to go in there. He is a true freshman who I think the world of right now, but he's playing. But I mean, there's real attrition coming on right now. Montre Miller, the corner, is out. And from Kent State, that transfer, there's real attrition happening. How much can this defense keep performing this way? And then a quarterback that can't throw the intermediate ball, that's going to sit there and run. One of these days, this. I mean, when I say opportunistic, TCU, okay, one of these days, they're not going to gain 1 yard in the third quarter. It's just not average, all right? That just doesn't happen very often in Power 5 football, that a defense is going to stop a team for 1 yard in a quarter, all right? So when you go ahead, how can this defense sustain this high level, especially when attrition starts to set in?
Well, going back to your chart here where you started with, the passing and things, I don't worry about that because we run to open up the pass. TCU passed to open up the run. Sort of like Dana used to do, right? You would get out there, you would You would throw a few screen passes, throw a few wheel routes or whatever, and open up the run game. And TCU does a lot of that. West Virginia uses the run to open up the pass. It's sort of like the Don Newland days all over again, right? I mean, get in there, run it down their throat, pound it, and wear them down, and then we'll hit them over top. Now, those passes haven't been getting completed, and I think that's just a young receiver core with young quarterbacks, and they've got to get in step. But our defense is really, really good. And I worry about them this week or next week and on Thursday night against Houston, simply because I know Dana and that mesh concept that he runs, he's going to have some guys open across the middle, and we know this. I mean, he will flood the middle with players running crossing routes, and we will have to really be on our best behavior, because at the same time, a lot of these guys on this West Virginia roster, not a lot of them, but some of them were recruited by Dana. Some of them know Dana. Some of them want to play Dana. And a lot of players on that Houston team, we know this, transferred from West Virginia to Houston and are starting down there at Houston. They want to beat us. One thing I worry about here is who's going to get out of shape and start causing a lot of penalties. West Virginia hasn't done that this far this year. And this could be one of those games where the players are a little hyped up, maybe get a few penalties against them for roughing the passer or a late hit or something. I worry about that, especially a lot with Houston and things. So but so far our penalty yards have been fantastic. I mean, we've done really good. 2 penalties against Penn State, a couple of penalties against Texas Tech, a couple against TCU. I mean, there's not really a better team that I can think of in the history of West Virginia that's done better on penalties than this team has. Can you think of any, Dale?
No, because I got more penalties than they all did.
Yeah, I mean, I did. This team is really good about controlling their emotions and just playing the game within the legal limits of football. And that's why we're winning. Bottom line, that's why we're winning. And I don't want that to get out of hand, and that's what I'm afraid of at Houston. I'm not worried about the game at all. I think we'll beat Houston hands down. But I do worry about those overzealous penalties when a player, wants to make a hit on the quarterback or, is lined up for the receiver, maybe getting a targeting. I worry about that. Just simply because this team wants to beat that Houston team of Dana Holgerson's really bad.
Well, there's no doubt about that. But I'm going to tell you this, Joey. This is I'm going to finish up because we got Jeff Davies coming on. I appreciate you coming on. All right. I'm looking at this receiving list right here. You got nobody in the top 20. West Virginia, I'm talking about. Nobody in the top 20. How much does Cole Taylor, the tight end, need to be targeted? He's got to be targeted 8 to 10 times a game. Make him the number one receiver. You got a quarterback that likes to throw to the number one read. And he's usually a tight end that's 6'7", it's open. You saw him against TCU. They didn't even throw to him in the third. Now, Neil said that he was hurt during Texas Tech, blah, 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 but he was in the first play, the second play of the game, okay? So if he's there to play in a game, he should be there good enough to target for a reception, in my opinion. So I don't buy that argument. Now, there's few arguments that Neil Brown is putting out this year that I don't buy. Usually, I'm buying a lot of what he's saying right now. But that's one that I do not buy. They should be targeting him, making it easier. I've talked about rolling out the quarterback. They've done that. Since the Penn State game, they have started moving that pocket around, and that helps out a young quarterback like Nickel, who won 2 games himself, and with Garrett Green, who's also doing it. So, again, you're doing the right things, but now start focusing on the tight ends until that wide receiver room. There's nobody in the top 20 in West Virginia, wide receivers. There's nobody. All right? That's a problem. You lost 2 receivers. Something is going bad in that room. Something was going bad in that room. Maybe those 2 out fixed it. Maybe they did. Because maybe that was some cancers going on that was prohibiting. Devin Carter, time to get it rolling, though. You're NC State. You're a 5th-year guy. Let's go, man. Let's get it going. You can't rely on a redshirt freshman, Hudson Clement, although he's turning into the most reliable receiver right now, wide receiver, besides Cole Taylor. Again, is you can't keep continuing to win with those guys, in my opinion, because they're going to get a redshirt freshman is not going to be able to carry you that load for you, man.
I agree. It's time to start leaning on the tight end a little bit, like you say. But also at the same time, we need to lean into a little bit to Devin Carter and Rodney Gallagher and Preston Fox and Clement. I mean, they're good receivers.
But
they need to get away. They need to get away from the coverage. They got to break free.
Okay, so if you go man on them and they're not open, who's that on? Is that on the quarterback or is that on the receiver?
No, I think it's on the receiver. I think the receiver got to get away from that.
Well, when have you ever seen a receiver that's had man coverage on him in this era of Neil Brown be able to beat man coverage? How many times have you seen it?
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. I know.
It's not, right? Maybe that's because you've had 4 receiver coaches in 5 years. Maybe that isn't it. So, I mean, again, there could be attrition to that, but the reality is, the truth is, all right, is that you have to get these guys going. So this is what the last thing I want to say with you, Joey. What is the last thing that Neil Brown ever played in college football?
Wide receiver, and you would think he would be able. He would think he would be able to coach him better.
No, I'm not saying he's not coaching. I'm saying is maybe you need to step in and make sure that room is square now, because you don't usually lose 2 dudes that were in your top 4 receivers right off the bat by week 5. Week 4, actually. You don't usually do that. So something was happening there where I think that he needs to get control, because right now there is very little, very, very little production by wide receivers being done. And the Mountaineers, as much as I'm so jacked about how well they played, and because they're tough again, they're gritty again. It's all that stuff I talked about in the summertime, that they have to be this blue-collar team. They're that. They are that. But they need help now going ahead and scoring points. And running is great, okay? Running is great, and you need to be able to do that. But somewhere along the line, it's going to bite you right in the can, because you can't throw the ball to a receiver. They have to get it going. Neil Brown, in my opinion, has to step in there and make sure that this receiver room is understanding what's going on. And that's what I think this whole bye week should be about for Neil Brown, and worried about how to get that receiver room jiving and catching balls. Because not only were they not getting open at times, but they also were dropping a ton of balls. Averaging 7 per game. That's not acceptable. And again, that's why I say Cole Taylor, put him number 1 receiver. I don't care if he's a tight end. Make him number 1, because he's going to catch it. 3rd and 8. What did he do against TCU? He caught a ball 3 feet behind him because he's got arms that are 5 feet. He's got ability. If he's got a guy hanging on his back that's 5'11", 6 foot, all he's got to do is do what? Raise up his arms. I mean, that's what a 6'7" tight end does for you. And I think he's got that ability, man.
I do too. One thing before I go real quick, and I'll say this and I'll get out of here. Another thing too is C.J. Donaldson. We know he's a heck of a back. We know he's a man out there, right?
Right.
He's got to start hitting that hole and going. He's dancing quite a bit this year.
I think he's hurt. I think also that. I think him and Aubrey Burks and Trey Layton, they're all very tight. I think that maybe seeing them down there, I'm going to give him the credit on this one. I'm just going to give him the credit. If he's still dancing on the Thursday night against Houston, then I think we really need to talk and say, hey, whatever happened, by the way, do we know what happened to Jalen Anderson?
I don't know.
I haven't heard nothing. Doggone if those reporters in the reporter room, ask them some questions, man.
They're not asking the tough questions. They're doing the West Virginia thing. You know how that is.
I think we're going to have to start tweeting out questions. Directly to Coach Brown. All right. Hey, Joey, man, I appreciate you. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Wolfman.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you coming on. Take care, brother.
See you later, man.
Yep. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, that was good. Joey coming on and filling that up. He's never had a loss for words. We all know that about Joey, and it's pretty awesome here. So let's go ahead. Let me get this really caught up here. I got Jeff Davies. Now, I'm going to tell you something. When I put it out there today, I misspelled his last name. I said Jeff Davis. No, it's Jeff Davies. and I knew his name just because I said it right in the preview. I said Davies, but I put it out as Davis, so I apologize for that. Oh, what's going on, Jeff? How you doing?
Good, yourself? I remember when I was a young kid, I had a teacher who used to call me Jefferson Davis, right? I think it was my social studies teacher. So I've been used to that my whole life, man. Davis, Davies, it's pretty close.
All right, well, very good, man. And what's going on, man? Are you okay now?
Yeah. I mean, I legitimately, I know it sounds like the dog ate your homework excuse, but legitimately had a flat tire on the way home, rushing to get back to this, and it was in my wife's car, and typically it leaked, and when we went and checked it, it had a big rock in it. I was hoping it'd be a quick plug, get back here. Didn't work out that way, unfortunately. So new tire needed, let's put it that way.
Did you take one of those ribs behind you and ride it in the car back?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
Right.
So dealing with that, man, down here in Texas, been just pouring rain in Houston last few days, but
Really?
Supposed to get a cold front, so it's going to finally feel like football weather for us, like down in the 60s finally. So
no kidding. Well, let me ask you this now. What's the word down in Houston this week? Houston's obviously must have a bye week here.
Does Houston? Yeah, I mean, Houston's got a bye week. I mean, again, I'm not super tied into the Cougars, right? But I think people across the board disappointed with how they've been performing this year.
Dana included. I've seen a couple of his antics there, which is no surprise because I saw that up close in West Virginia.
I will say, as fellow Steeler fans, I'm very fortunate. My son had a basketball tournament last Sunday. Otherwise, we would have went to the game versus the Texans, and I'm glad I didn't pay to go watch that disaster. So that's for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what. What's going on with Houston now? Are they that good, or are they? Was that just a bad Steelers outing?
I mean, I think C.J. Stroud's going to be for real. Give him a couple of years. I think he's legit. I don't know much about the defensive side of the ball, but I mean, I think everybody in Steelerland just wants to get rid of Matt Canada, right? I mean, worst offensive team across the board.
That poor guy. He is just getting hammered. He may have to go hide in Canada if this continues on.
He may. I mean, maybe that's why his last name's Canada, right? Because that's where he's going to be sent to exile, right? He certainly won't be welcome anywhere, Prefonta's or anywhere in Steelerland. That's for damn sure.
No, I think that whenever his job expires in Pittsburgh, he will leave the area. I do think that. All right. Well, here we go. Now, listen, this is from last week. Now, I did lose, on USC, of all teams, Colorado, because they have 21, and I had the parlay 3, and I had the ticket, man, and here it is. But you can see I circled Oregon, USC, UCF, and this is the ticket. Yeah, I can hit that. There you go. All right, so big payout right there, right? Big payout. All the 22 Trojans were up, man. They were up, and all they had to do was close it out. I was just talking to Tony Altimore, who's the Trojans Pac-12 guy, and defense is a little suspect. Something to remember here as they have to go play Notre Dame and Washington and Oregon State and Washington State and down the line, man. Something to remember that is as good as Caleb Williams is.
And I would say, I'm trying to take these data points, some of the stuff you have mentioned, and kind of plug it into my mental computer as it relates to what I'm seeing from the statistics as well. Like we've talked about all along, it's a process of different data points from all over, what you know about the players, the team, the weather, the line, the advanced stats, et cetera, et cetera. I will say, man, there were some bad beats last week.
Yeah.
Also, the favorite bet last week, if you recall, was Kansas versus Texas, which
wait a minute. That Jalen Daniels did not play.
I know. That's my point. How do you know that, right? How do you predict that? So
that was. I think he just woke up with back spasms.
Yeah. I mean, you never take Kansas in that game if he's not playing, of course, right? So
No, there's no doubt about that. That's just bad timing on everybody's part. But if you go ahead and you look at this here now, this is parlay 5 that did win. So there's no money being lost or money being gained. And if you look at it, all of those numbers came through pretty good. And again, but the parlay 3 should have won that if USC would have done their job, what they were doing. But hey, it still works out. But he could go with 5, man. That's pretty. I thought that was important to show that, because even though you could lose, I mean, that's 5. I mean, that's not easy now. That's cover 2 data. That's cover 2 data right there.
Yeah, and we've talked about this. That might be a good way to play things, because what we're trying to do is highlight statistical anomalies, and maybe 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 of ours, end up being correct. You're not always going to get them all right, but if you can parlay them together, that kind of works, right?
Yeah, I'm telling you, and even straight up sometimes it works when you just do one-on-one. I mean, I'm not saying straight up, but I'm saying whatever it may be, the points or whatever, I'm telling you, this stuff is good, man. And it just, for me, it points to the fact, because I'm taking my knowledge and I'm putting it in with this, and so I have a better opportunity to make a better decision. Not only is my decision better, it's better educated. And that's what I think I'm trying to do. So that's why I am all in on this. So let's go ahead. Let's roll it, man. Tell me what.
So I mixed up the slides a little bit. People that have watched us before will recall the first few are just how we look at things from a regression perspective. First one being success rates, which is, what percentage of plays do you get more than 50% of the yards on first down, 70% of remaining on second down, first down on third or fourth, offensive, defensively. And we net those out versus the teams. The teams above the line we like to take, teams below the line we don't like to take, right? So that's success rates. The next one's PPA, which is offensive, defensive, explosiveness metric, really. And we try to kind of see what's standing out on both of those first 2. And then the next one is really tied to over-unders, which 2 teams are kind of explosive together relative to where the over-unders are set, basically. So that's kind of how we work through those. Just to remind people, I did switch it up. I typically throw in the summary slides for each conference. If you want to just show, I just thought I'd throw in the Big 12, and maybe the folks that, kind of are familiar with WVU, what this shows is what is this here? This is the offensive success rate, right? So this is Big 12 offensive success rate, broken down by kind of type of down, rushing or passing. Yeah. So you can see WVU is kind of, below average, I guess.
Look at their passing downs.
Yeah.
32%.
Passing downs 32%, right? So it's not great, right? So, but if you look at the defensive success rate, the next one, surprisingly, right, WVU is pretty good defensively this year.
Well, they got the stats to prove it.
Yeah, I'll remind people our stats, for whatever reason, we didn't get the PSU, the Penn State game, the first week of the season, but these include every game since then. So, I mean, WV looks, really good kind of defensively. And, to your point, too, I was just looking at some other stuff. I mean, there is no receiver in the top 20 from a usage or PPA perspective. And, again, kind of defensively, things look pretty good. Offensively, it's a run heavy team, not getting much from the passing game. Well, and that's just what the stats tell me. So I was listening before, I jumped on, and that's very consistent with what the numbers say. If you look at them versus the rest of the league, right, it's the rest of, the Big 12. I mean, they're running the ball 67% of the time, and the next highest team's 58% at Kansas, right? Yeah. So just kind of massively run heavy.
Well,
So anyways, but if we want to get in the games, first game we like this week is the under in Boston College Army. We'll go conference by conference here. The under in this one, two bad offensive teams, total success rates 42% and 39%. So again, to remind you, 55 to 60 is great, and 40 to 50 is average, and so these are below average to bad offensive teams. And Army holds the ball like crazy.
You learned your lesson of that.
I did. So that's the mental piece of putting that in there, of course, right?
All right. So you like the under BC?
Yeah.
I mean, an Army. Yeah, I like that too. I'm going with that.
Yeah.
How about Georgia Tech? You like Miami, and you're making a double call here.
Yeah, and I've been bad on double calls, so I've had a lot of pushes and loses, or I guess maybe one lose both, but I like Miami and the over here. Both teams are pretty good offensively. Miami, certainly stands out. They should win this game, kind of going away. So to me, this is kind of like a 45-20 type of game. So I like the over here, with Miami winning. You can see like the way we highlight things from a logo perspective. Every statistic Miami is better than, and from a kind of net, which is us comparing the offense defense for each team versus the offense defense for the other team, they stand out, significantly better in PPA and success rate. So Miami should win this game if the statistics hold, and I think both teams score.
Both teams score, but do you think 21 though? You're going to take Miami in 21?
I am. Again, I get hesitant taking those types of lines, but good. I would say like 21's a lot in any conference, right? So, admittedly, just trying to stick with the data here, and I like what I've seen from Miami, Georgia Tech. Like I said, I think they can put points on the board. I just don't think they're going to stay within 3 touchdowns here.
Okay.
At Miami.
Yeah, but I don't think that matters though. Because Miami, they got no crowd, man.
Yeah, I hear that. I don't disagree. I just mentioned that.
There you go. Louisville, you're gonna go with the over here against North Carolina. What was that?
Yeah, so I mean, this is here's a good game, good example of where the statistics and the line kind of line up. And what I mean by that is, I don't think anybody in the country really cares about Louisville. They did sneak in the top 25 this week, right? But they obviously 5-0. But I mean, if you look at our net PPA and success rate, like the teams are basically statistically equivalent to each other through 5 games, 6 games through Notre Dame. So, I mean, to have this as a pretty tight line statistically isn't a surprise to kind of the way we look at things. But I just, to me, Notre Dame's such a solid team. I don't want to take Louisville at 5.5, but I do like the over here. Both of these teams really good offensively, 50% success rates.
Yes.
Both defenses are good also. But I would say, I mean, Louisville's been good offensively. They stunk it up last week. So part of that, again, is kind of a gut, like, hey, they're going to figure things out, get it back on track. They'll put points on the board. Notre Dame will put points on the board.
Well, I think that Louisville really showed the type of team they are. They were down 10-0 and come back to win 13-10. That's ugly, but that's what it takes to get it done to win. So, I agree. They're going to put up a fight to Notre Dame. All right. Very good. Next one,
North Carolina Cuse. Again, hate to keep coming across as a Syracuse homer here, but if you look at this, Syracuse is better on a net success rate, net PPA. Again, kind of maybe Syracuse strength schedule called in question potentially, but obviously Clemson, handed it to them last week. I think giving them 9, even though it's at North Carolina's, I expect Syracuse to bounce back, and they just across the board. I shouldn't say across the board. North Carolina is better offensively, Syracuse better defensively, as our logos show how we highlight that. But if you net those out, offense, defense versus both teams, Syracuse edges North Carolina. So the statistics say Syracuse should win this game. They're getting 9. So I'm going to take Cuse in this one.
All right, I'll take Cuse. I'd actually take the under. I would take the under on that. That's just me.
Yeah, I hear you. Another one that's really interesting from a spread and a statistics perspective. Maryland sitting here at 5-0. To be honest with you, I didn't realize that till I ran these numbers this week. And
The most quietest team there, up there right now.
Yeah, pick this game, and so I mean, any 5-0 team getting 20 points, right? Big Ten team getting 20 points. And by the way, if you look at these statistics, when you net them out, PPA is basically equivalent, and the success rate's a 2 percentage point difference, right? So it's kind of nothing. So I mean, and you look at this, the logos, like I said, how we highlight these things, it's kind of mixed across the board. So if you're going to take a team getting 20 points, this is a team to take getting 20 points here. So I'm going to take Maryland.
Yeah, I'd take Maryland too, and. Again, Ohio State. I know they beat Notre Dame, and but I think they got some. They're up and down a little bit, so we'll see about that. And I don't even like their head coach, so heck with it. All right, you got Michigan here. There you go.
Another one that just stood out on our early screens that I know it's a big line here. Minnesota's kind of really bad. Kind of offensively 44%, kind of really not doing a lot good. And, Michigan looks really good. So I'm going to take Michigan here. Minnesota, their net PPA, net success rate are kind of like flattish, which means you're like an average team at best.
Yeah, no, I see that. Let me ask you this. Michigan is strong enough to put up 30, right? On this, according to the stats here, right? And you didn't take the over, but would the over be an awful choice here at 45.5, 46?
Yeah, I mean, if I was to take the over under, I'd take the over here myself because
I was thinking. That's what
I think it's more. I think this ends up, and let's recall. Maybe this ends up being kind of a 35 to kind of
Well, I say 35-14, something like that,
Well, I'm trying to think. So it'd be 10.
Because you'd have 49 or
35 to 10 or something like that, right? So 40. I mean, that gets you right there, 45. I mean, 45 just feels low to me. Michigan's a really good offensive team. I mean,
so I would take the over on that, just myself, but not sure. I just want to know what you thought about what the stats said about that. Again, go ahead now. This is cool. You got another double.
So the next one, Baylor, TTU. I like Texas Tech in this one. They, it's kind of basically push them. Baylor getting one. Texas Tech's, statistically better across the board. Other than kind of some minor stuff here. And, I just think 60 points. Both those teams have struggled to score the ball. If you look at the success rates offensively, Baylor's at 38%, which is, again, you're talking kind of bottom 20% of all of Power 5. Texas Tech's only at 42 offensively,
You're right, man. And they've struggled. They have struggled.
You got the backup quarterback, of course, at Texas Tech, and Baylor struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a game at 60 points. It's a big line for two bad offensive teams. Again, it feels like a trap almost, but both of the defenses are reasonable.
Yeah.
Holding, success rates to 40 and 43%. Right. So
I'm all about that one. You got it.
Yeah. So I like Texas Tech winning though. I mean, again, Texas Tech, I think, needs wins more so than Baylor. Baylor's at home here, but I think Texas Tech's a better team this year.
Yep. All right. What about Iowa State?
Next one, TCU. The line here, Iowa State getting 6.5. If you look at the, TCU better, 12 points better from a success rate perspective, net, and 19, 0.19, 0.2 better on a net PPA perspective, both of which are really good.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest more of a 10 to 12 point spread here.
10 to 12 point spread.
Yeah, I mean, so this is Iowa at home, Iowa State, excuse me, at home, so, kind of got to, adjust for that. But, TC, Iowa State offense, total success rate, 34%. That's kind of got to be one of the worst 5 in all of college football. The defense is good as well, but I just think TCU offense wins out here.
Well, I think that, and I don't think that, TCU last week put up 300 yards on West Virginia and put up very little after that, 1 yard in the third quarter. So I don't think that's going to be a repeat. I think that they're going to bounce back. Rocco Beck is freshman quarterback. That's Anthony Beck's boy, and he's had his struggles. He's a freshman, so he's gonna learn some stuff there. All right, I'll go with that. TCU bouncing back, and I'll take that with you right there. K-State, and you're looking at Oklahoma State.
K-State, Oklahoma State. Again, this is just one that stands out to us. K-State, really good offensively, really good defensively, kind of pushing 50% and 35% offense, defense. So they just, look a lot better than Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State struggled this year, really doesn't look like a very good team, honestly, which is kind of surprising. But, 12 points, this should be kind of a, 20-point game, we think.
All right. Sounds good. I'll go with that. Continue out.
Oklahoma, Texas. I haven't been good betting against Texas. I think I've done it a couple times this year. I'm still in that show me kind of. For me, that's kind of like my personal, not the data, right? But data says they're a really good team. But, the data also says Oklahoma's a better team here, So if you look at, again, kind of to highlight, can't really see it great on your slides, but if you, sign up and get this stuff, far right, kind of middle of the screen here, it's the PPA and the success rates, the net, which compares the two teams.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's better than Texas in both. Oklahoma's getting 6.5 points at home. So, if you want to believe in the data, you take Oklahoma here.
I'm going to tell you that what I know, though, I'm going to go Texas. Just because they've shown me enough. They went up, they faced Alabama at Bama. They showed me enough, and I think Oklahoma's had some teams that are a little lightfoot. So, all right, we'll see what comes out of that.
Yeah.
You don't like to go against the data, but I'll tell you what, sometimes you have that gut feeling.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, this is a bit of a gut one here. The next one, Colorado, Arizona State. It's pretty much a pick 'em when you look at PPA and its success rate there. Colorado giving Arizona State 4. I kind of jumped off the train, was impressed with what Colorado did against USC last weekend. Continue to think they can put points on the board. So here, with Colorado giving 4, even though it's an away game, I kind of like this. Look in the pack, Colorado's at 48% pass success rate. Arizona State's okay to good against the pass. But I just kind of think Dion, every time I listen to him, I get more convinced he's just motivated to, win some games this year that maybe they shouldn't.
No, okay, I agree with you. Listen, the only thing I'm mad at Dion about is USC. All right, because I had the 21 points. that would have been a hit. Now would have been a hit. All right,
I'm with you. I was very impressed with them last week. Next one's Cal, Oregon State. I think we just got a couple left here. So Cal, Oregon State. I like Oregon State here. Stands out to us kind of big time, really, on a PPA perspective. Should be more kind of 15 plus point spread based on how you look at these relative to each teams. And again, I want to highlight that, like how we think of things is like, hey, Vegas is using kind of similar statistics to us to measure these advanced stats and say this line should be here. Well, why did they put this one over here that's kind of very similar statistics,
right? And
they just look out of line. So that's kind of how we think about things. So, this one, Oregon State, looks like they should win by more than 9.5 points to us.
Yeah, I'd go with that. I really would. And I like Oregon State this year. But I tell you, Washington State, Oregon State, what a game that was, huh?
Yeah, big time.
totally surprised by that, but it was entertaining. Okay, Alabama A&M. Jimbo.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, so this one here, similar story where, like, man, Bama's tough. Looks like they're turning the corner. Looks like maybe that Texas game was more one-off than I originally thought. But you look at these statistics, and A&M's better across every single one, right? So A&M's at home, A&M's getting 2.5 points. A similar one where, like, this is kind of, hey, gut, it's still Alabama, it's still Jimbo. But I'm going to take A&M here because that's what the data says they should take.
Yep. You know what? Okay, this is a tough one right here. This is, I'm going to go with Jimbo. I'm going to go with the data. All right, I'm going to go with the data. Although I absolutely hate picking against Nick Saban. I hate it because I think the dude is really special. Don't know if he's got that special team this year. Don't know.
I agree. I mean, that's part of it. If Jimbo's going to beat Saban, this is the year it's going to happen, right? Because I'm still not convinced Milrose is that high tier quarterback.
I said the same thing about Lane Kiffin in Ole Miss.
Yeah. But I mean, next game, what's he do? He puts up over 700 yards. Right?
At LSU, right?
Yeah.
He put up 706 yards, which is the second most at SEC, man. That was a huge bounce back, whatever you want to call it. All right, we got Arkansas.
Speaking of two teams that just played LSU, Ole Miss and Arkansas, right? So, and Arkansas, surprisingly, at LSU, stayed with them. Arkansas needs wins badly, right? So I think they're not as bad as their record. I will, for full disclosure, my daughter is a, Woo Pig Suey. She goes to Arkansas. So there's no homer there, though. I don't have any huge alliance to them. But I will say, statistically, I'm taking Arkansas here. Just looks close statistically relative to the line. I'm scared with the yardage that Kiffin's putting up. But I think, Arkansas needs wins so badly, they're going to keep it within 11.5.
Yeah. What do you think of Fayetteville?
I love it. That's one of my favorite college towns I've ever been to. It's beautiful.
Pretty cool, man. It is.
It's for people that haven't been there, it's in the middle of kind of some small mountains, Appalachia feel kind of to it.
Oh, it is.
Small mountains, green trees everywhere. Beautiful, beautiful little college town, close to campus, close to the stadiums.
Yeah.
And the stadium, you overlook the mountains and the trees. It's beautiful.
Yep, got a friend out there. All right, so there we go. Florida, and it looks like Vandy. Vandy, well, I tell you, how do they stay in the SEC? Lots of money.
It's tough, right? They haven't been good for a while, but yeah, this is one that just stands out. Like, Florida looks way better offensively and defensively on both sides of the ball. Florida's, defensively through 5 games, one of the best in the country, quite frankly. 32% success rate, despite the 2 losses. So, again, I mean, that, and I would say that highlights too, like, the data can only show you so much, right? Yeah. So one of the better defensive teams, really good offensively, but obviously they play a tough schedule and a tough conference, and but they look much better statistically here than Vanderbilt at home. We think it's a blowout.
See, now I would think that would be 21. I really would. That's your 21-18. I'm taking Florida regardless. But I would think that would actually be higher. But what do I know? I don't know. And how about this? Georgia, man. All right.
I mean, this is, again, one of these, it feels like a trap. It feels like a trap game, 48-point over-under. We've just been looking at 50s, 55s, 60s, right? So this is a really low over-under for a, 52% success offense in Georgia, 42% in Kentucky. But, I mean, Kentucky running the ball, you saw what they did last weekend, right?
Yeah,
so,
my buddy's son is the starting left guard for Kentucky. Big John Ray had played at WVU. He played next to me. Well, his son Dylan just transferred from WVU, and he plays in Kentucky. And he was at a huge game, I'm telling you, I like the over number one, what you're saying. I'm taking Kentucky. Kentucky's getting 14.5, right?
Yeah.
I'm taking Kentucky. I don't think Georgia has been going ahead and stomping everybody. I think it got a little bit of their bellies a little bit full right now. I think that they're a little satisfied and not as hungry as they have been because they've won 2 in a row.
Kentucky's actually better at stopping the run versus Georgia, their defense versus Georgia.
Mhm.
Statistically, Georgia's better stopping the pass. But on a total basis, the defenses are pretty similar. And Kentucky's running the ball really well, but like from an explosiveness perspective, both teams are pretty similar.
Yeah.
So yeah, that feels like a big spread. If I had to take a team, I'm taking Kentucky here for sure.
I'm definitely taking Kentucky. I may be bummed out later, but right now I'm fired up about that because I think Kentucky. It's a big game for them. They're going to give Georgia their best. They really are, because this is a chance that they have to make some noise, because when you do what they did to Florida last week, hey, you're feeling pretty good about yourself.
Yeah, and like I said, I said Florida is one of the better defenses in the country. They just got burned for 300 yards on the ground, right? So
Pretty nice.
The statistics are obviously over the season, not just the one game. And the last one is Mississippi State. This is versus Western Michigan. Taking the under here. Again, there's like this logic should make sense based on what we just talked about. Both of these teams are under 40% from a total offensive statistic perspective. So, both bad offenses. And, that's at 56, over under versus a 48 over under on the last game we looked at, Georgia, with 2 good offenses, right? So like it's a relative trade, where I like the over on that one. I like the under on this one. They just stand out statistically versus each other. Of course, you can't just look at the offenses, but these defenses are average at best here as well. So, so I like the under on this one.
Yeah, I hear you, man. All right, so let me see what we got here. Lock of the week, TCU 6.5 versus Iowa State. Bet week here. All right. I don't know. Joey's out there. I can't get Joey. He got all fired up getting out of the air here, so he's putting this in. We'll go ahead. We'll let Joey get up there. So people, we can laugh at him when he's wrong. Upset of the week, Arizona State straight up beat Colorado. All right, Joey. Okay.
I don't know, man. I had a rough week a week ago, so Joey could be right. Stats are only part of the equation for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, listen, man, I'm telling you, it's working. It is working, and you got to be able to use a little common sense. So when I say use a little common sense here, Jeff, let's talk about common sense at cover2data.com. You also, not only do you do the previews for every single Power 5 game, if you want them. You don't have to take all that information, but I do. If you want them. And you also do the summaries after the game, the post-game analysis and stats and all that. But you also do individuals. Tell us about the individuals that you're doing.
The individual statistics?
Yeah, of players that you show them, and you're showing how much you're using them.
So, and this stuff's always available at the site, and we do send it out occasionally as emails as well. So, you're always going to have, as Wolfman said, game summaries, game previews. We do advanced team offensive stats, advanced team defensive stats. And then at the player level, we do, player usage stats, player PPA stats, do that at the conference level. So you can see how your players rank, if at all, in the top 20 in the Big 12 or whatever conference. And then we aggregate the conferences. And at the Cover 2 parent level, we do kind of Power 5 individual statistics as well. And that stuff that we send, it's just the way email works. The stuff that we send in emails, it's kind of image, it's hard copy, so to speak. It's not interactive. But the stuff that is online, it's always updated weekly, where you can, track usage versus PPA, and it's a bubble, and they'll, be WVU color, and you'll see where all the receivers line up versus other receivers in the league and those types of things. So there's this interactivity of our data sets that we allow you to kind of play with as well if you go to the site.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool, and been enjoying it. And Joey says he's won $7,000 this year. I'm going to say, watch it, Joey. The IRS will be knocking on your door soon. All right, so be careful how much you're saying you're winning. Hey, listen, Jeff Davies, man, sorry you had a rough time to get on here, but man, I appreciate it so much, and I'm really enjoying this Cover 2 data, watching it, and it's almost like real time. We're seeing how this works and really how it benefits, and so it's really kind of cool. And I would really recommend to everybody out there be looking at this. Go to Cover 2 Data, sign up. It's Substack. It just keeps pumping information out. You can get one team. You can get all Power 5 teams. You can go to the summary. I mean, I'm totally digging it. I've never been so much into numbers like I am this year, and looking at it and applying that with what you know in football. And so I think it's really cool. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. And so we'll catch up, I guess. WVU's got Houston coming out of the bye week, so we'll catch up next week, talk about that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we're gonna. I guess we're gonna have to go to Thursday again, huh?
Is that a Thursday game or Friday?
Yeah, it's a Thursday game, so we're gonna have to do it on Thursday if you want to get on. So,
cool. All right, sounds good.
No flat tires next week, man.
No doubt. All right, take care.
All right,
Appreciate
bro.
it.
Yep. Take care now. All right, Jeff Davies, man. I'll tell you what, it's good stuff, man. Good information. Here you go. Let's see. Joey Foster, you 7,000. Let him knock. Hey, Joey. Yeah. You better go overseas, man. Let's see here. All right. So again, great job, Jeff Davies. Awesome. I think so. Listen, I'm telling you what. Not every game is going to go by data. He goes by his data, but you got to know. All right, when picking. And you got to know the teams. You better do your research if you really want to be good at it. Like I said, parlay 3, parlay 5, been hitting a lot more than not. But you better know your teams. And there's Cover 2 data. Just the data says this. Well, add that with your knowledge of the teams and feel comfortable about that. When you're comfortable, then that's something good to think about and feel comfortable about putting the greenbacks out there, right? Yeah, absolutely. So there's no betting advice intended for this by Jeff Davies. I'm just telling you, it's my show. I'm making the call, and I show you what I'm doing. So, the truth is there. Where the WolfMan's call, where the truth is always part of the call. I had to say it because I love saying it. How's everybody doing? It's Thursday. Listen, we're not going to have a show tomorrow. I got other work that I need to do to focus on making the show better. We got people coming in. We got things that are happening here. And I'm really, really excited about it. And, adding a website to this and linking it with other companies and getting that synergy going on. That synergy. What was that movie that said you got to have that great synergy, right? Yeah, man. And I took the glasses off. I forgot I can't see. So it's all good. But get that synergy going, man. We've got things that are so much happening here in the WolfMan's call. This is a year-round show. This is not just football. Going through this summer with West Virginia expectations, and I'm talking football, as low as it could possibly be with the whole Huggins situation and with what transpired from there. It was a tough summer, man. Tough summer to get all fired up, get jacked up. But I'm going to tell you this right here. What I'm really, really fired up and I'm jacked up about, and I'm going to leave it because we don't have a show tomorrow, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of Neil Brown, this coaching staff. When I talk about certain things, I'm saying, we talked a little bit with Daryl Prue about this yesterday. And I can be constructive criticism. Constructive criticism. It's not just criticism. I'm not saying these guys are terrible. I'm saying this is what I believe that they had to do. So all summer long, I sat there, and Joey knows it, and DP knows it, all the people that come on the show, Frank Fear. I said, this is what you have to do to win games as Mountaineers. blue collar man. I preached it all summer long, all spring and summer long. Man, I preached it and I said it over and over again. And because I wanted to get through, they hear it. I'm telling you, I believe they heard it because what I hear from Neil Brown is not what I've heard for past 4 seasons. What I'm hearing from Neil Brown is a guy who's coaching his can off. Now, again, nothing's all perfect here, and you're not whistling Dixie out your can because you have an offense you got to worry about. You got a hole in your passing game. You got attrition happening on defense. You got some guys that have played exceptional games, that have stood out, that are playing really hard. And this team is playing together. They're gritty and they're tough. I said you got to be a hard edge. You got to have a hard edge, and you got to do it in practice. So what does Coach Brown do? He goes out, he says, this is the hardest practice we've been, most physical practice that we've done. I mean, again, it's not what he's not saying it's me. I'm saying is that I said these are the things they have to do. Because I haven't seen it in 4 years. I haven't seen it. Even Dana's teams had a little bit pissed off nastiness to them. And I get all fired up and I'm talking about this. Now, again, I am happy right now with this tough, gritty, nitty team that's out there and wants respect. Well, walk around. Keep that chip on your shoulder, man. Keep that chip on your shoulder because you're gonna have to carry it 7 more games. You're only 5 games into this, and you're 4-1. And man, you are really you've done great. Done great. Got to improve the passing game. Running game is sweet. CJ, man, get healthy this week. Get healthy. We want to see you running tough. Jaheim White. All right, starting to come in. You heard 2 weeks ago Neil Brown saying that he needed to do things in practice. He needed respect from his teammates. All right, but then the next week he plays, and he's saying we've got to play him more. So, again, that seems like a nice progression. Okay, Jalen Anderson, I don't know where he is. I don't know what happened to Justin Jump Cut Johnson. Triple J's, I don't know what happened to him. I haven't seen him. He had 4 plays in against TCU. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying anything. I'm saying I don't know. Okay, but where are these guys? The receivers. Why is there a problem in the receiver room? 2 guys quitting. Why? Is it too tough? Whatever. It needs to be figured out. This week, I hope Neil Brown is in that receiver room, working with those receivers on the field, in the film room, and going ahead and go. Because you know why? Because that's what I did as a head coach. When I had a problem, hey, one spring I had to coach cornerbacks, all right? And he said, well, what are you going to do with cornerbacks, right? Well, I'll tell you, I sat down for about a night. I thought about it, and because I only had a night to get prepared. I thought, well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to become a press defense, a press cover two, where we're going to go ahead and we're going to just go ahead and press every single receiver. And I'm going to teach them that. Because you know what I did? I taught them how to pass block. Cornerbacks, how to pass block. And when they actually broke that flat plane with the receiver broke that plane with the DB, you got to turn your hips and you got to run with them. It's man coverage, right? Man coverage. But I'm going to press. I taught it so good because that's all pass protection. I taught it so good that one boy got a scholarship, and I say, boy, he's a young man. One young man got a scholarship to Power 5 school, right? Because all he did is he used to press receivers right outside of the white lines, man. And he just took it. Jimmy Johnson, he just took it, and he went out and did it. Because you know what? I wasn't sure about how I was going to teach, what technique I was going to teach these guys with. So we spent that whole spring. You got to make that, man. That's what you got to do. You make the best out of what you do. You have to go ahead and coach that. And that's what I'm saying with Neil Brown. Get in there and coach your receivers. Get it going. You're 4-1, man. You're off to a start that only you and the rest of your team thought you could have. Right? Attrition's going to pop in, but you got a hole in the passing game. You can't run the ball at every game and win. You can't keep winning ugly because you've been opportunistic. Beautiful. That's a great thing. Every team should be opportunistic. You have a much better chance of winning when you're opportunistic. But you know what? It's going to run out. It's going to run out, and defensive coordinator is going to figure it out. Unless you defy the great odds of not having a passing game. I mean, go to the witch, but I have no idea. But what I'm saying is this is your opportunity. So the past 5 games, man, wow. I've appreciated a couple of the ugly. Pitt, man, I tell you what, I didn't care if it was an ugly win. And I said every team gets confidence. Every time they win ugly, they gain confidence. And then when they went out to TCU, they overcame adversity. 300 yards in the first half. 300 yards they gave up. They didn't look like a great defense. They didn't look like a top dog defense. But then they went ahead and they made changes, and they took opportunistic opportunities. They really did. I mean, they took opportunistic that TCU went away from doing what TCU does. Run the ball. Run the ball. That's what TCU does. So with that being said, you got to go ahead and you have to be opportunistic. And now you're 4-1, take advantage. You got Holgerson, man. Oh, I know this game's going to mean a lot more. Maybe nobody's saying anything about top, but I know Dana. I know Neil. And I think I know these young guys here. They want to do some things. There's some guys that Houston staff, too, now that were West Virginia staff. Dana took some people with them now. They want to win down there in Houston. And obviously they want to win a lot right now because they're not having a good season. So what better way to start the season turning around for them would be a victory over Neil Brown Mountaineers, who are 2-0 in the Big 12, 4-1 overall. Be ready for Holgerson, man, because, boy, I tell you what, he's really good on offense. I'm not going to say I know Dana Holgerson extremely well for his skills as coaching, and he's a really good coach. And I don't care what everyone will say about head coach. I'm not going to get – he knows how to score points. And just because he hasn't in the first couple games or saying that they've struggled, okay, so they struggle, but he knows how to score points. And he knows how to get – he also knows how to throw his headphones. So that's a good thing going on for West Virginia right now, because the more headphones he throws, the worse it's going for the Houston team. So, all right. With all that being said, let's go ahead. I mean, it's been a full day, man. I got you some of those stats up there. I got you Joey on board. That was cool. I actually enjoyed it. I haven't seen him and talked to him in a while. So let's get the network up here. And we're going to go over it. And this is what I do every single time because the network is important. Watch it there now. Go there. Go to these fine establishments and go ahead and like what they're doing, man. Enjoy their food. Enjoy their drink. Whatever your thing is, man. Whatever your thing is, they are there. And they are going ahead and they're showing it here in the WolfMan's Call Network. I appreciate them. And that starts off with Brickside Bar and Grill. Eat locally. Rob Davis down there in Bridgeport, West Virginia. And then you have in Morgantown, you got the Tap House, Mountaineer Tap House there. And they got specials every day. Great food. It's right there on Oakland Street, right there where all the WVU housing is on Evansdale. And it's fantastic. Mel, take care of Mel. She runs Route 22 Sports Bar, Weirton, West Virginia. Bottoms up tap. They have 12 50-inch screen TVs that all connect to one. And I sure hope they don't have me on that one. I hope it's a smaller TV. All right. And then we have Jimbo's there. Jimbo's Place, Elkins, Buckhannon, Jimmy Pointer. Hey, so nice. They did it twice. Yep, love that. How about the pitch? Chef Paul down there at the pitch in Dunbar, West Virginia. Pitch Sports Bar and Grill. Great food selections there. Great atmosphere. I was there a few weeks ago. The Mason Jar Barbecue and More in Fairmont. That's Steve Reese. Incredible food. Good stuff. You know, they do a lot. And Parmar does a show there for Fairmont coaches show as well. Parmar sponsors that. Again, Parmar always getting in. They're always doing things for the people. And Kegler Sports Bar in Morgantown. Man, you know, the three Lorenzes, Jerry, Greg, and Steve, and Dougie Moore. All those people there, all family. Calacino's Pizzeria and Sports Bar, Beckley, West Virginia. Love the za. Love the opportunity. At Calacino, it's all Mountaineers. Very cool. You have the Pallet there in Scott Depot, Taze Valley, and we got Haley and all the staff there. Cool place. All the craft beers. They got great food, and it's just chill to hang out there. Really cool. Scott Depot and the Pallet Bar. And you got Archies up there in Pittsburgh, man. Cool hangout. Great theme. Right there on East Carson Street. Great wings, great food. All that you need to enjoy your football Saturdays, Sundays, or Thursdays, or Mondays, how many days of the week it is, or with Jacksonville State on Wednesdays last night, right? There you go. Danny's Bar, Princeton, West Virginia, most loyal Mountaineer fans, some of them that I know, absolutely fantastic down there in Princeton. Actually, I get a lot of people saying, hey, what's cool? That's cool. Danny's down there in Princeton. Legend Sports Bar in Cheat Lake. They're in Gizzy out there. Hit the links. Lakeview Resort, beautiful. Then you got Cantrell's River City Grill and Pub right in the heart of Hinton, West Virginia. It's beautiful down there, just beautiful. And the food, oh my gosh. You've just seen the special last weekend, the crab legs, all that. Oh, just a pound of it. And it looked so good. And of course, you got the jar up in Morgantown, right on Morgantown Road, right past the Morgantown Mall right there, Morgantown Road. And it's the Jar Restaurant and Hotspot, just took over from the Mason Jar Saloon. So they're making it their own, keeping a lot of good stuff with it, but also adding their own flair to it. Can't go wrong, man. Can't go wrong. Great food, great people. Really appreciate it all, man. And there you go. So, with that being said, nobody else is going to come on. I need to get out of here. Gave you my thing about the bye week. Let's go. Let's get ready, Mountaineers. And let's hear from the best center in the country. You guys all have a great weekend. No show tomorrow. We'll be back on Monday. Be back and ready to roll, building up for the Thursday game. And we'll have our game day breakdown. Actually, it won't be the pregame breakdown the day before the game, because it's going to be game day breakdown the day of the game. Houston game. I cannot wait to see the Mountaineers face off against the Houston Cougars and Dana Holgerson. What did he do when he came off that elevator? Go Cougs. Not his best moment. All right. Zach Frazier, the best center in all the land. You guys have a great night. Have a great weekend. Enjoy some football without the stress of watching the Mountaineers. God bless.
Hi, I'm Zach Frazier from Fairmont. And when I'm back home, you'll find me at my local Parmar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. We have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more. We are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
Law offices of Mark Plants and Kevin Davis. First line of defense. Big Box Beverages, the world's tastiest portable punch, as seen on Shark Tank. Buzzballs, ready-to-drink cocktails. #1 single-serve premix brand in the U.S. Buzzballs, have a ball. Stationers, #1 office supplier in West Virginia. Always in stock. How many? The anywhere, anytime chargers, powering a connected world. Never buy AA batteries again. Rechargeable 500 times plus. Paul Mini AA USB lithium battery, as easy to charge as your cell phone. Sustainable energy. Stay charged. Go green, save green. Feel the power of Paul. Order now at paulmini.com.
West Virginia United.